Hello and welcome to Young at Heart Designs with Jill Young. Today we're going to be creating a beautiful decor piece, actually two pieces. They're a breadboard design with the fleur-de-lis pieces on there. And so today we're going to start. This is just a tutorial, and I'm just going to share with you my process. Different people may do it differently. Most of the products I'll be using today are from Paint Couture, and this is called 2-in-1 Primer. Basically what we're doing here is we're just making sure that there is a block there to make sure that the paint goes on without any bleed through from the wood. And so I just kind of like to start there because I don't really know where the source of the wood is from and whether or not it would come through the paint. The paint color from Paint Couture here is a chalk style paint, and it is called Duck Egg Blue. It has a touch of green to it. If you put it next to blue, you can really see the green come through. Both boards are going to be in this color. I am going to be doing some antiquing later on, so they will get a little bit darker. So after the paint is dry, then I'm going to use this product from Deco Art called One Step Crackle. And I'm going to put that on really well. I'm going to do the front, the back, the sides, and then make sure it's dried really well. I like using this product. I have used other products before. I've used the two-step crackle from Paint Art. I like that as well. However, this is a water-based product, and so after that is dry, then I'm going to, I had two different products I was going to try, but I liked the way that the first one turned out, so I ended up using it. But this is a product from Paint Art, and it's called Antique Paste, and it's in the color Umbra. And now I'm got the crackle showing, so we're ready to do a stamp, and I'm using the new Waltz stamp from IOD, and I'm using the archival permanent ink in black, and that's going to go on the front and the back of my design. When you're using the stamp, you want to make sure it's not sliding and you're just holding it real tight. And it takes some practice, but it's worth it once you get that down. You want to add firm pressure. Even pressure all the way around, and I dried that really good. Now I'm going to use Salon de la mold to create the raised design. This is a mold from Redesign with Prima, and it's got two different fleur-de-lis designs, and I'm going to be using one on one of the boards and one on the other. And there's different kinds of air dry clay. This is what I'm using here is an air dry clay. I love the one by Sculpey. There's different products. I think Doss makes one, as well as Iron Orchid makes one as well. But this one has been my favorite. It's just very therapeutic as you put the design in and get it smoothed out. It's very relaxing to me to be able to do that. Now, this is a little trick I've learned using the air dry clay, especially with these designs that have more of a fine detail or filigree to them, is once I get them into the mold, I go and put them in the freezer. And I leave them in the freezer for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it helps when you demold those little fine lines. They come out so much better. And once I learned that, my life was just a lot smoother. I just was getting a little frustrated sometimes because those little bitty lines would break, and But once I put it in the freezer, let it get hard for a little bit, then when I demold, they just come out beautifully. Now, this is air dried clay. It does take a while for this to dry, usually overnight at least. And even sometimes, you know, it takes a while. You want to make sure you really seal that up good if you have any left over. All right, so it's out of the freezer. I'm going to unmold it. And sometimes you get a little rough edge and you just smooth that out. And although I knew that this was still wet, technically, I wanted to go ahead and before I put it on the board itself, I wanted to go ahead and give it a layer of paint. I'm using the Paint Couture's Antique Gold paint here. Now, I've done this before. I did it with some smaller boards, and just the fleur-de-lis was just enough. But with these boards, after I got it on there, I realized I think it needs a little something extra. So you'll see in just a minute that I add some more to the design. Now, the reason why I wanted to go ahead and paint this is because it is hard once it's glued on. And I knew that the paint was still wet because the clay is still wet and it wasn't going to dry right away. So I put on the trusty little gloves here. Probably should wear those all the time because my hands are always a mess after I get through with projects. I will have to go back at a later point and just touch up that gold paint, but you know, most of it stays on there. Now the glue that I'm using is called Titebond, and it's Titebond, I think that's the name of it, Quick and Thick, and it's awesome. It dries really quick. It adheres very, very well. Now the reason why I want to go ahead and glue that on while the clay is technically still damp and wet is because sometimes that clay will kind of warp a little bit if it's, you know, left to dry, and then you have to kind of work at it to get it glued down so that it's not warped. And here you see I'm using another mold by the same company, Redesign with Prima, and you can find that at redesignwithprima.com, and this one is called Lavish Swirls, and I'm only using part of the mold, and that's the cool thing about molds. You don't have to use the entire thing. You can just find the pieces that work for you. And then, now I did not freeze these. I turned them over, let gravity take its course, and just smooth out the edges there. And I decided that this needed more of a little flourish on the corners. So I'm going to do that. And as you can tell, I did not paint that before adding it, because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with it. So I'm going to go back at a later point and touch up the gold on the fleur-de-lis and then the flourishes as well. I use all kinds of little tools to kind of get that flat along the edge and into all the crevices and corners. It helps to just get I just pull it back with my thumb, or I will take a scraper there, or an old gift card, something like that, to kind of make sure it's flat on the bottom. Now I'm making these for my sister. Here it is before I paint with the gold to finish out those molds. My sister is moving into a new home and doing a French provincial style in her kitchen, and so I'm doing this for her. You just have to be kind of careful when you are painting these molds. You don't want to get it all over the blue or the back paint, and you kind of have to look at it from all different edges and because you think you've got it all painted, and then you turn it and oops, nope, I don't. I also ended up painting the edge of the board with the gold as well, just to give it a little oomph. The molds are beautiful in and of themselves, but there is so much detail to these molds, and sometimes it's hard to see. And so after this, I'm going to paint the entire thing with this solution. It's a top coat called Extreme Guard. And that's because I'm going to go over these molds with the Paint Couture's glaze in Van Dyke Brown here. And because what I'm going to do is I want that the bottom lines, I don't know how to explain it, the deep grooves to kind of stand out because they're beautiful and they add to the elegance of the design. So the reason why I put that Extreme Guard on there is because if I get any of the paint, the glaze, I can wipe it back with a wet wipe or a damp rag, and you can just see more of the detail of the mold due to the glaze down inside. And as you can tell, that kind of makes it stand out a little bit more. So I don't know, what do you think? Do you like this project, and is it something you think you might do? I just really appreciate you so much joining me for today's tutorial, and let me know what other things you would like to see. I appreciate it if you would hit like and subscribe and maybe leave me a comment and let me know what you want to see next. Thank you. Have a great day and be blessed.